y'all. I'm Laura Richardson with Relevate, and we're bringing you another episode of I'm Moving to North Carolina, Now What? So one of the big things that's a huge part of the process is inspections. One of the kind of things that kind of catch people off guard a little bit here, we don't do them before we go active, meaning that there's no pre-inspection. So if you're coming from a state where inspections are typically done before it goes on the market, North Carolina is going to be a whirlwind of a ride for you. So today's episode, we're talking about misconceptions with inspections. So one of the first misconceptions is that you can waive your inspection rights. So in some states, like Pennsylvania, for example, when you go under contract and you're filling out that contract document, there's a ton of different boxes you can check where you're literally waiving your right to do a pest inspection, radon, general inspection, all the things. Here in North Carolina, we're an as-is purchase state. We are legitimately a caveat emptor state, meaning buyer beware. So with that being said, once you go under contract, you're buying it in the condition it's in. That's part of the contract language. You get the right to do due diligence, which is inspections and a whole bunch of other things. So just understand there's not like a contingency that gets waived or removed with inspections. You might, just to clarify, you might fill out something called a provisions addendum that says that you're not going to ask for repairs. That is very different from actually inspecting the property. So big misconception, constantly get asked that. You want to understand that that is not a negotiation term, just repairs. So the second misconception is that if the house is newer, you're not going to find anything. Y'all, I cannot tell you the number of new construction homes or homes that are 4 years or less old, and all of a sudden, all the things are on the table when it comes to that inspection report. HVAC systems failing, recalls on electrical panels, having broken trusses and types of structural issues. Just because a home is newer does not mean you're not going to find anything. This is why doing inspections is so important. And also, given the age of a home, you might actually still have access to some warranties. So it is so crucial that you find out as much as possible, including asking the seller if they were the original owner and the house is under 10 years old, asking them, did you get inspections during the build process, and give the opportunity for the builder to fix those things. Did you get an 11-month walkthrough? Did you file for your warranties? Is the structural warranty still transferable? All of these things are really important and can actually help you as the new owner. The third misconception is that if the house is older, everything's wrong with it. Guys, just because a home is 80 years old or 30 years old does not mean it's in poor shape. It depends on the number of homeowners. It also depends on the level of deferred maintenance that they actually did on the house. I toured a home just recently that was built in literally the turn of the century, and it had one family that had owned it for about 80 years, and the home was immaculate. So I think you need to understand that, yes, there were probably some materials that were used at the time of the build. Have those been replaced? What updates have you done? If there were materials that have been known to have defects or recalls, did you take care of those? What type of general home maintenance have you done? What major systems have gotten replaced over the course of this entire lifespan? So there's a lot of really valid questions you can ask to determine, are the bones of this house really good? And is it just the aesthetics that need to be updated? The fourth misconception, going back to the age of the home, is that just because it's new construction, the builder has fixed everything. Guys, there's a lot of human error that happens when you're building a home. It does not mean there's malicious intent. It doesn't mean somebody was incapable of doing it right. Sometimes things just happen, they get overlooked, or somebody's in the middle of fixing something that was on a blue tape list, and they get a phone call and then just don't go back to the same spot. There's just that kind of realm that mistakes happen. So it's really important that if you find things that can be fixed by your builder team, you submit that to them and ask for it. But the bigger thing is that you do follow up. I can't tell you the number of times I've had clients buy new construction and they don't send their inspector back for a second look. Just because the information's been presented does not mean all the fixes have been made or done with efficacy. So it's really important. Follow-up is the key here. At the end of the day, you're on the hook for the home. This is where you're going to live, where you're potentially building all those memories and spending all this time. So you want to make sure things are done right. So just know when it comes to inspections, they are important. They serve a valid purpose in negotiations. It's part of being a homeowner, and you cannot waive those rights. You are always, always, always able to inspect as much as possible during the contract period to make sure that you do still want to buy that home. So if you have any questions about the state of North Carolina, how we do inspections, or how you move here, feel free to drop those in the comments or send me a private message with the information that's in the description. I'm Laura Richardson, and I'll see you on our next episode.